Welcome to the lighter side of the dark side. It's your weekly or sometimes bi-weekly freak show here on Renegade Radio and Steel Waves Radio, as well as Apple, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, Castbox. Wherever you're watching or listening to us, it's the Dark Mark Show. I am Dark Mark, the Goth Comedian, with my Obey shirts.
Yes.
Well, you two people can see that. And the person laughing at that is my co-host. She's back. She's Bob. Hannah Bach.
Yep. Coming to you from my pajamas, so we're showing off.
See, you got cute pajamas. I have, me in pajamas is not sexy or cute. I'm guessing that our guest, Trez Mala, in pajamas is not quite as cute either. Well, he's a good-looking guy.
Oh, I appreciate that. But thanks for having me on over here.
Trez Mala, for people that don't know, is a very funny comedian in Las Vegas. Known him for years. Actually, the man who put me on a podcast for the first time when you were doing the Courtesy Flush podcast with Bobby Wingstop. I think that was the first podcast I was ever on.
Yeah, dude. That's
10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah, Jesus, it was a long time. That was what we were like doing. Like we weren't even doing like it was on a we were like podcasting. We're like just capturing it on UStream. Like I don't even think we had it like up. Like we were live streaming the whole thing.
I remember that.
Yeah, but that was a blast, man. I enjoyed it. I think I have all those recordings somewhere in a drive. But yeah, good times, dude. So did that kick you off? Did that start you off?
That was the first podcast I ever was on. I was on radio shows, but never like a straight podcast. And then, lo and behold, I'm on other podcasts, and I started this one probably, in April, it'll be 7 years ago. I started on April Fool's Day.
So, like, you're like, this idiot can do it. Anybody can do it.
No. No.
It's like, I got this in the bag, bro. This is simple.
No, there's a lot of people that think that, and that's why there's a lot of really bad podcasts out there. But honestly, when I started my podcast, it was Gary Garver from the Howard Stern Show had encouraged me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, honestly, I was having a nervous breakdown. Literally, because my comedy wasn't going where I thought it should, and I was just really like at a crossroads, and I really was like, I have something that I don't think I'm not hearing on podcasts. I don't see on other podcasts, which is my weird Hollywood friends.
Bam.
So that's why I started putting them on in weird combinations, and went away, moved to New Orleans, Las Vegas, and now I'm back in Hollywood. Hannah and I have been doing the show together for a couple of years since I've been back, and it's better than ever. Now we're on 2 radio stations. We're on 12 terrestrial radio stations nationwide, and all the podcast outlets and YouTube. And depending on if we have a BBW model or not, we have a really big YouTube crowd. It's really weird. It's like the
BBW sells it for me though, bro.
And then like 10 the next week, then hundreds, then 10, then thousands. It goes back and forth. Anyway,
sorry,
we're rambling.
Nah, happens.
Trez is not only a great comic and a great comedy host. He's hosted so many shows that I've done in Las Vegas, including one where I opened for the Unknown Comic.
Yeah, that was the best.
That was such a good show.
That was
and everybody. I mean, Unknown Comic blew everybody away, but everybody on that show was great.
Yeah, what a great night of comedy all around. That was for sure. That was one of the highlights of like anything I've done comedy, as far as because the night was electric. Everybody did great, and then the Unknown Comic just like put on a master class.
Right.
Yeah, good times.
But you were also somebody that I know to be a conspiracy theorist.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about all sorts of conspiracy theories, whether people like it or not, as long as we can still do it and the government allows us. But before we do, and we're going to get into all sorts of stuff, past and present and future, Audible. We're brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/DMS. Once again, audibletrial.com/DMS. DMS for the Dark Mark Show. And you get a book and 2 free Audible originals. Plenty of conspiracy books. I'm looking right now. Conspiracies and Conspiracy Theories. Conspiracy, The First Conspiracy. Ronan Farrow's book is in here for some reason. I guess that's a conspiracy. Proof of Conspiracy. None Dare Call It Conspiracy. American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups. There's so many conspiracy books on Audible that you can listen to. And the 2 Audible originals, you can get anything. They have everything from a recreation of Alien 3 using the William Gibson scripts to they have Bob Newhart interviews comics. That's an Audible original. Kate McKinnon does a play. John Lithgow does a play. They've got everything. So you go to audibletrial.com/DMS. D as in dark, M as in Mark, S as in show. You get a free book, free Audible originals. You can cancel the next day. You keep the book and the Audible originals, and I get paid. So we're also brought to you by Spy Associates, which I think is going to be of interest to the people listening to the show. Get some counterintelligence at Spy Associates, spyassociates.com. We're going to have a code both in this show and also on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter feeds at Dark Mark Show. You get hidden cameras, wireless hidden cameras, audio surveillance, GPS trackers. I'm opening Spy Associates right now. The website, they have a Spy Finder Pro, which is an easy-to-use handheld hidden camera lens detector, which looks like a keep fob. This is all like James Bond stuff. It's so great. They've got all sorts of stuff. You just go down this rabbit hole, and you'll see who's spying on you. You can spy on other people. Wireless weather station hidden camera with battery, night vision, and remote viewing. Thermometer hidden camera. Blu-ray hidden camera. All sorts of stuff. Mini cube Wi-Fi camera. Lawnmate remote control hidden camera. Mini USB charger hidden camera. Bug detectors, GPS tracking, audio surveillance, and they're having all sorts of specials. Digital voice recorders. We have a code, 20% off any order over $249. Please use it and get a discount on your spy equipment. Also, Hustler Hollywood is sponsoring us, so we're gonna have 20% off and a free gift on any sex toys, vibrators, or lingerie that you order. And Trez, I think I saw you making fun of vegans at one time. Hannah's a vegan.
Hello.
And we're sponsored by the best vegan restaurant. It's so good, even you would like it. If I gave you
I like good food, so I'm not.
What's that?
I said I like good food.
Oh, you would love it. You like pulled pork, chicken parmesan, shrimp po' boys. They have all that. The biggest flautas I've ever had in my life. The nachos were voted one of the 10 best nachos in LA.
Fun fries.
Fun fries. They have
milkshakes, cake.
They have
cookies.
chocolate cake. They have brownies. All vegan. The guy who makes the desserts is called Das Baker, which is a takeoff of the industrial club Das Bunker. And unfortunately, you can't eat in, but they're taking orders out.
And they're doing DoorDash as well.
Sorry?
They're doing DoorDash. They're on DoorDash now.
They're on DoorDash. They'll deliver. It's great. I was just talking to somebody. They said they took somebody to Doomie's. They had a chicken sandwich and was amazed that it wasn't real.
Oh, good. So good.
It's the best vegan food you ever had. If I slid a Doomie's barbecue bacon cheeseburger with fun fries in front of you, you'd scarf it all. You'd say, that was great. You would have it was, yeah. See, Hannah's already getting hungry. She probably has food today.
The mock Big Mac. I haven't had Doomie's in so long. I miss it so much because I'm out by the beach. And I'm just like, maybe I should just drive out there and pick some up.
Go to 1253 Vine Street if you're in Hollywood, or go to DoorDash and order from Doomie's Home Cooking. Or they have a restaurant in Toronto, Canada. I don't know what's going on there as far as the rules, but I'm sure you can get it delivered or you can pick it up. So that's it for the sponsors. That took about a half hour. Now, Trez, you know so much. I'm going to start with, I'm going to try to story off a little bit. What is a conspiracy theory that you don't believe in, that you just know is bullshit, that a lot of people believe in?
Well, the conspiracy itself, or the the narrative, it's not how do I put it? I'm one of those people. The reason why I'm ultimately called a conspiracy theorist is because I'll have the conversation. I'm not afraid to indulge in the conversation. If someone wants to tell me something, I'll be like, yeah, man, like, let's hear it. Let's have it out.
Sure.
You know, show me something. Let me learn. Something that I don't believe. I don't outright. I don't want to say I don't outright believe. I question everything to a degree. It just depends what comes across. More and more stuff that I see, the crazier it is. That seems more unbelievable. Like the more real it is, you know. I can't think of anything offhand where I'm just like, that's bullshit. But I mean, you know,
I won't. You did believe that you found out was bullshit.
What was that?
Something you did believe in, but you found out was bullshit.
Well, a lot of the stuff that I've looked into hasn't really come up as like bullshit. Aliens seems to be one of those ones where you're really, to me, it kind of seems like it's designed to make people seem really tinfoil hat kooky. It's also like one of those things that, I don't rightly believe in, but I don't say it's not true. Like when we're seeing, I like when people say unidentified objects, they automatically think little green men. I think military planes. You know what I mean? I think
Right.
I think stuff like that. I do believe in them, but I don't know. There's not. I mean, when you look at like false flags and you look at stuff like that, you're like, fuck, that's real. That's real. I could easily come out and just say, oh, Sandy Hook, that's bullshit. Right. As far as like, no, as far as like, oh, that their kids died and da, 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 da. But when you start looking at things, you're like, whoa, nothing's really adding up to the original, to the narrative. So I was one of those people who was like, oh, they could never cover anything up like that and da 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 da. But then the more you start looking at it, and then the other thing that is something that I was kind of, I don't think it's because I didn't want to believe or, didn't want to like get pulled into that. But the people who have done actual like research and stuff on like Sandy Hook, and I forget the guy's name, but they've like destroyed their lives. And all they did was question. They didn't say anything. They're like, why did they, first of all, like why, like that school should have been condemned a long time ago. Then they demolished it right after. And then there's like this, I forget the name of it, but there's a thing where like, and it's a real thing, and I forget the name, and I've forgot it, and I've been trying to remember this for like the last couple of years. But there's a name for an operation where the whole town is involved. Everybody's involved. It's called like a white stone event or something weird like people. That. Yeah. But they said that Sandy Hook was one of those things, and I forget the name of it. And then you see how like there was a stuff and where people like proven they're like, well, a lot of these people, they had their mortgages. Everybody was like, their mortgages are all paid off. Like anybody that was like in and around the school, like all their mortgages on their homes, really, really weird. It was like, there's like a whole bunch of like insurance stuff that went on that was weird too. But that was something that I was just like, oh, here we go again. We're going to,
right.
we're going to, here goes, we're going to have like that, we're going to have Alex Jones fly off the handle. We're going to have other people. It's going to create infighting is what I thought in this conspiracy movement. But what it's done is it's kind of like just been like everything else. It's like, oh, that's last month. What's new? What's next?
Right. Well, I'm glad I asked that question, but
sorry.
even
I'm just sorry. Like the things that I thought were like ultimately bullshit.
Yeah.
That's it. You're always going to get a long answer from me. But the things that I thought were like ultimately bullshit, like the more you look into them, you're like, that's not that bullshit. There's like validity to just like the lady that came out right now, Judy Mikovits. She was arrested and stuff like that. and she came out with that movie Plandemic, right?
Right. I was trying to watch that, but apparently you can't.
It's
right
popping
out.
up more. It's popping up more to where it's almost they're having a really hard time like suppressing that movie. People are creating accounts just to put that stuff up. Like they're having a really, really hard time. But her thing was, she okay, good girl. My daughter, she's like trying to show me.
Oh, that's fine.
But she was suppressed, right? You know, and they put out this whole smear campaign on her, and then that's all people like want to believe. They don't want to like look at like what she's saying, and when they do, they're just like taking little bits and pieces. They did the same thing with Sandy Hook, but when you look into it, like people are like, oh, she's been debunked, she's been discredited. She takes that stuff on. I remember when she got busted. You know, I was watching Alex Jones and they were covering it because it was about vaccines and shit. You know,
Right.
But
so that's a good segue because I want to start here. What is going on, and what do you believe is going on with this pandemic? Obviously, something's not right.
Do you have an idea? Because there you just said it. I mean, something isn't right. You know.
Well, first off, to say blanketly, and I'm, I believe some conspiracy theories. I don't believe others. I'm a skeptic of skeptics, but to actually blanketly say at this point, oh no, it's been debunked. It wasn't created in a lab. How do you know? Nobody knows anything about this.
Well, there's more evidence to support that it wasn't. Stop. Take it out. But it wasn't. Yeah, it handsy.
Well, that's okay. That's Trez's kids coming in and.
Oh, it's fun. I had Grandpa earlier, so.
Yeah, Grandpa busted in on Hannah earlier.
My little daughter Ella over here is this little handful, but oh, thank you. So what was I saying? What'd you ask about the?
I said it was created in the lab. The COVID.
Oh, yeah. So the coronavirus itself, this one, the COVID-19. There she is. Say hi.
We're with his daughter.
It totally came from a lab. They were working on it, and they'd started out what they're thinking originally was Fort Detrick here, or a lab in North Carolina. It was shipped up to Canada, and then it was moved to China. One of the things about that is the reason why it kept moving is each place it was going to in those countries, they were making the project of working on such type viruses and the vaccines and how they were doing it, they were making that illegal. So when it shipped over to China, it's wide open over there, and there's nothing doing. The only thing is like that stuff was supposed to be completely shut down. One of the conspiracies here is you have Dr. Fauci, who is part of the NIH, that gave that specific lab like $3.7 million in grant money to specifically work on a coronavirus vaccine. It just so happens to come out of the lab, just happens to be the virus and just happens to be the company working on the vaccine. And then here's another thing that people don't know, and this gets shrouded in obscurity with this. People don't think that this is a big work. One of the scientists that was working on the virus in the lab in Wuhan, okay, specifically on the virus for over the last two years at least, if not 3 years, is the science and medicine or medicine, whatever, fact checker for Facebook. So the person, her name's Danielle Anderson, and the person that is in charge for Facebook for what 2 billion people looking in, watching, this person is the gatekeeper, debunking anything that goes up. It gets flagged, it gets fact checked. That's not fake. only stuff that comes from one source, one model is accepted. And that's a scary thing, because with the censorship, people were freaking out when this was breaking out in China. That you have the Wuhan 8, and you have that one doctor that they put in jail that was trying to release this, right? Was trying to put this information out, and everybody, yeah, baby, everybody's like, yo, they're censoring and jailing. Stop, baby girl. Thank you. We're freaking out. The government's censoring the people, and they're doing this and that. But then when over here, when it's happening, people are like, oh, well, yeah, because of conspiracy, it's dangerous. You know, like, what's more dangerous, censoring a different opinion, or the opinion or the other opinion? You know, and if you got everybody thinking, I mean, what is it? Mark Twain, it says, if you find yourself in the side of the majority, it's time to stop and reflect. It means you're not thinking anymore.
That's a great quote. And I didn't know. See, I didn't know this. That I never heard that this was from a lab in America.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying a lab in China. You're saying it was a lab in America, and it was shipped to China.
Yeah, when it was legal for them here in the States to work on such type stuff, they were doing that, and they do that all over. They're still doing it. They do it, you know, like I said, all over. But if you look at where you have these major virus outbreaks, all come from China. You know,
Kind of look scared now.
I'm not scared.
I do that to people. Sorry, Hannah.
Yes. No. And obviously we've all been sequestered in our homes for a month and a half at least.
Which is, you know,
unprecedented.
It's unconstitutional for one, but it really fits into the whole climate change agenda. You know, and the other thing about it is they're finding out it is very unhealthy, and I'm sure it's, you know, isolation is not good. It's not good. Just think of all the people that have mental issues, you know, that need interaction with other people. You know, when I say like usually people think it's the other way around. Well, people don't do good alone. You know what I mean? Like, that's why solitary confinement like drives people insane. Like, it's supposed to break you. Right. That's what they're trying to do. You know, if you look at habits, it only takes 21 days to 30 days to completely rewire your brain if it's hammered in on you. Look how long we're being locked in. You know, a lot of these people are going to be like, man, fucking, I'm getting this money check coming in. I ain't got to work. I get to buy my shit on Amazon. They're like, these people are like slowly capitulating into this system of basically, I'm saying, bellying up, you know?
Well, that's so what's the end game here? Who's making money, and what do they want?
Look, and I get a lot of heat because I'm not on team freak out fuck Trump. Pardon my language. I don't know if I. Okay,
that's okay. Your daughter,
sorry, I don't know. It happens. But yeah, I'm not on team fuck Trump. I'm all about like team people. You know what I mean? Like, I was against the things that Obama did that was against American interest. I was against the things that Bush did that was against American interest, you know. But when it comes to Trump,
what about the things that Trump does that are against American interest? And there are examples of that.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%, and I'm against that, and I'm vocal about that. Selling weapons, doing the whole weapons deals with the Saudis. I think you know, the Saudis are slaughtering the Yemen. You have the richest country in the world killing the poorest country in the world, just outright slaughter, nothing, selling, you know, it's his business, you know. But I don't want to go on a tangent real quick on that because I'll go off on war. But
and I don't want to make this political, because although I do want to ask you one more thing. But
I do. But this is one of the things. I'm looking at this as a mind control perspective. Okay, that's how I look at everything, in a sense of like mind control. But we have everybody over here. We have everybody that like on the news and the media. They're like, Trump is pushing this hydroxychloroquine. He wants to get rich off of this hydroxychloroquine, and all his buddies and da 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 da. And then you have like the media trying to put the hound dogs on him. They're like, I don't know if he does, but someone should look into it if he's invested in it. And next thing you know, there's all these articles coming out saying Trump is invested in hydroxychloroquine, something that's been in use for over 70 years, and is very, very cheap. And it's just for a target audience, if you will, but a demographic of people that are sick. Enter Bill Gates. Okay, if Trump was trying to do that for profit in the spot of the presidency, you have Bill Gates, who is completely trying to corner all the markets with the vaccines, funding every other company who makes a vaccine. All right. You have him then trying to get rid of beef and meats and implement his lab grown meat that he's trying to push through. Okay. And then you have another thing going on with Bill Gates, his surveillance system, his education deal, his patent that he wants to inject nanobot micro robots basically to have through vaccines. And this is true. This is patented, to have this shit go into your brain, hook up with your eyes and your heart, monitor your heart rate, the flicker rate on what you're watching, different things that you're watching, and your brain activity to mine cryptocurrency. Okay. This dude's talking about wanting to vaccinate everybody on the planet. He wants to have a surveillance control grid system. This guy wants to have a monopoly on education now. It's slowly moving in to where you're starting with New York. Okay. They're already announcing all this stuff. And no one sees that this is all philanthropy. This is all out of goodwill. You know what I mean? This is all out of like doing good things. Bill Gates was hated by his business practices. All right. Well, then after he got so rich, he started doing the exact same thing that Rockefeller did. Right. Everything's all too generous, but it's all to serve his purpose and his purposes and his industry and his peoples. So when I say, when people are like, oh, Trump's all about making money on hydroxychloroquine. Oh, but Bill Gates is here to save us. That shit that Bill Gates is doing, I'm sorry. I'm not a Bible person at all. All right. Never was. That is the mark of the beast Bible shit telling us straight up. I mean, if you look at it, if all that stuff gets integrated, then it's going to be like, hey, you can't shop here, unless you're like you're chipped up. We know that you're safe, right? Or let's just say everything goes all the way down the line, and then all of a sudden it was like, yo, dude, you got your vaccine. You can't get a business license unless you have your vaccine, or you have that shit in your brain from the thing, and like, oh, we see that you've been watching Alex Jones, or you've been watching somebody else that's not our news. We're going to start docking you credits, or you can't shop here. No, it's going to come down to assisted control. People don't see that. Everybody has been whipped up into fear. I'm sorry, I'm going way off.
So like a Black Mirror episode, kind of.
Exactly. That one where they sit in the treadmill and they ride. Yeah, I've only seen 2 episodes, and that was one of them I saw. As soon as I saw that patent, it's giving me chills right now. That is exactly the Black Mirror.
There was one.
Go ahead.
Oh, there was one episode where they would dock you credits like on social media too. And people were becoming less popular, and their lives have been like sucking. It was one of the Black Mirror's episodes.
No, I'm telling you that stuff is like, it is really being laid out as like is what's happening. And I think that's what's been, here's a conspiracy. I think that's what's always been with like Hollywood. All right. When you go into the history, like if you ever look into research Jordan Maxwell and his symbology, and he talks about how the ancient druids, the magicians of the days, they used the wood from the holly tree as their wands to cast spell because it had a certain energy. All right. Well, now you have Hollywood, right? That's basically casting spells. And if you believe in the law of attraction, and you believe in like auto-suggestion and repetitive things that like help manifest, what a better way than using TV, radio, stuff that strikes these chords, these energies. You have everybody, it's in their brain constantly broadcasting it because it's repetitive nature in your brain. You're trapped emotionally because when you watch a movie, what do?
Right.
I remember
sometimes you get emotionally invested.
Oh,
Unless you watched the
100%.
movie that I watched
And it
last
stays
night.
with you. You ever
Yeah.
watch
Precious.
something that, as a real quick, you ever watch something that
Yeah.
like stays with you and like you're thinking about it a week later? You're like,
Yeah.
Hannah, go ahead.
Oh, like the movie Precious. Like that stuck with me to this day.
Which one?
Precious.
Oh, okay.
and
I watched Stewardess School with our former guest Julia Montgomery, and I wasn't locked in. Let's just put it that way. But that's another story. But if Bill Gates is this kind of evil Antichrist genius, how come he couldn't get the Windows Phone over?
oh yeah, well you have to remember there's entities in play, you know. There's that's where I like
people to buy a phone, but he's going to be able to implant these things in everybody's head.
Yeah, I mean, look at how it is to sell a phone versus to sell fear, you know. I mean, just look at the simple fact the guy has been talking over 10 years about this. He even said man-made pandemic, man-made viruses, and the need for medicines to combat this. And then he just happens to be the guy that has, and not only that, but all these other I mean, there's a great guy, watch his work. I tell people all the time, James Corbett of the Corbett Report. He's doing a series right now, and he breaks out all the money that Bill Gates is funding this and funding that, and he breaks down the history. And I love the fact that he actually highlights the public relations maneuver that's going on. Okay, I'll be right there. Go. But they cover how he's using philanthropy in you know, the charity to sell. And if you look at it, I mean, look how he's edified every time he goes anywhere. I mean, people look at him like he's a god, but you look at his parents, you look at the people around his parents, you look at the people he's had business dealings with, not good people. You know what I mean? And when I say his parents aren't good people,
you could say that about Trump. You could say that about anybody.
Okay,
that is at that high level.
100%, 100%. No, yeah, I mean, you have to be in that 100 millionaire club and all that stuff. You got to be a vicious cunt. Yeah. You know, there's no way about it. I mean,
you're the headliner in the Las Vegas comedy scene. You got to be a vicious cunt.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, it's seriously, you know, but there is a difference between like being a vicious cunt into you, like your ends and things. And then also like trying to control all ends or have, you know, and it's beyond him. It's not just him. He's there. He's been there. He's been like the front man for I don't want to say the Illuminati, but he's been the front man for the people who've been been constructing a new world order through a scientific dictatorship. And this has all been talked about has all been laid out by Aldous Huxley in Brave New World and Brave New World Revisited, you know, written in the 30s.
Where does Steve Jobs fit in? Because right after he died, he became Jesus Christ. Now, how does he fit in?
Well, you know, one of the things is if you ever look at him, if you ever look at what he responds to his products, you know, he wants to change society, he wants to do this, that, and, you know, he wanted to make a better future. But he wouldn't let his kids play with the iPads, you know, the flicker rate and all that stuff. You know, he wouldn't let his kids mess with that stuff. So what does that tell you? You know, like, yeah, the guy believes in this product and it does have a place, but at the same time, he can see that the overconsumption is abuse. Just as with anything, I think everything starts with honest intentions to a certain degree. Because the idea was his, but making it happen, you know, was a collective, you know what I mean? And they all worked together to put the tracking systems in and you know what I mean? And, oh yeah, I could check you when you go running, you know?
Well, and I'm, you know, I'm recording here on a MacBook, you know, which is nice. And I'm sure everybody's watching. Now,
It's a double-edged sword, man. It could be used both ways, and I think that's one of the things that they like.
Well, I think more people in the government are watching this than people actually will watch on YouTube, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens.
They're just waiting for me to start jerking off, dude. That's what
we're all waiting for that.
Sorry, Hannah.
Yeah.
They're like, usually when this guy has a camera on him, he's over there fucking rapping.
I have a female co-host, so people don't say shit like that. But
sorry,
yeah.
My bad.
Or maybe because they will. Now
I'm married to my wife.
Let's go down as conspiracy's greatest hits to get your take on these things. Hannah, tell them about the conspiracy theory you're curious about.
You know what? I'm going to change it up and ask him. I want to go back to the 70s with Black Sabbath records and Rolling Stones played backwards. Like, what's your take on that? The subliminal messages and.
I ultimately, because I remember like stuff like that, when it was like being played. What was it? Iron Maiden, right? They were playing that stuff backwards and all that.
They were kind of going forwards.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, there's a field of study where they play stuff backwards that was said, like, let's just take like the Kennedy speech and they play it backwards and they're like, when these words form in it, that's what's actually being said or something like that. As far as like that stuff, playing it backwards, I don't know how like that even started like back then, other than like somebody knowing something and then put it out there, or people were really
bored,
stoned and bored, high and bored. But one thing I do know that like all those major bands, Sabbath, Stones, all those people, they're all a part of that like they're all a part of that sold their soul to the devil type deal. The Robert Johnson curse, not so much the curse, but what's his name, Bob Dylan, when he was like, in an interview, he says like, I sold my soul to the guy down there.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's just like, I just got to keep making music till the dude tells me till my contract's up, but I
heard Bob Dylan's Christmas album. Please let him out of his contract.
Please. That's the whole thing. It's just the torching it. Call it music.
I know Satan's a fan of the show, and we've had Stanton LaVey on and other guests. Please let Bob out of his contract, please.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not music to their ears either, But
are there other subliminal messages that?
Well, that's the thing is subliminal messages. I believe in that. That is a proven science.
Give us an example of that. That's not so obvious, like a heavy metal record.
In the 60s or 70s, they had to stop using it in supermarkets. They would splice in nanosecond. You put it right underneath, buy meat. They would do things like that, and somehow, some way, people caught on, and they made it illegal to not put subliminal messages. In the movies, they found taking just a frame where you wouldn't catch it, and then flashing Coca-Cola or popcorn, and then like sales doubled because of the trigger. You don't see with your eyes, but you get it. You'll get it in your subconscious, like. It's always recording, it sees stuff you don't. TV, same thing. The flicker rate, that's all designed how TV and stuff like that. They say, and probably to a certain extent, the legitimacy, yes, but they say that's designed to prevent people from having seizures. But if you I can't fall asleep with the TV on because it's always flashing. I can't. I don't know how people do it, but
people can't fall asleep without the TV.
I know. And to me, that just seems like constant programming. To me, that just seems like you're just being programmed straight on through. You have people that do affirmations that way, You're successful people are like, oh, dude, I just put on the headset and ran my affirmations all night long, and now I'm a trillionaire, whatever. But I'm sure they killed a lot of babies, too.
It's something So let's. Hannah was asking me about UFOs and UFOs impregnating people and taking the babies. You know anything about
Well,
this?
back in the 90s, you'd have Jenny Jones and Ricky Lake, and you'd have these bored housewives come on and say, oh, I had a baby with an alien, and they live in the middle of nowhere. And then they came back down and took the baby and was half alien, half human.
Yeah, that would be kind of stuff I'd be like, all right, those are the kind of things I'd be like, that those would be the conspiracies I don't believe. But one of the things, all right, baby cakes. One of
like
the things,
lizard people.
I do believe in lizard people, but not in the context of like people running around with, as I said earlier, green scaly skin and biting tongues.
Shapeshifters.
It's definitely an energy thing, and it's definitely a that aspect of when it comes to the lizard people. It is I think it goes all the way down from like DNA to bloodlines and stuff that's out of our light spectrum. I mean, we see 0.003 or 0.003. So let's just say 0.03% of the light spectrum.
Right.
To say that there's not like an interdimensional being, beings that are on like, in the world of quantum theory, quantum physics, everything's happening simultaneously. We're just seeing this frequency of it right now. We experience it. When you hey, come here, give me that. She got. I don't know if you can hear the Christmas music playing.
I could hear it.
No, that's.
But what was? See, I'm so easily distracted.
This is what kind of started the whole conversation. Reason I want to have you on the show.
Hold on, let me get this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come here, little bro.
So as he's going to take care of the child. So I should ask you, Hannah. You were saying you don't really believe in conspiracies.
Love that. Put the headphones in for her just to go and take them out. But
this is what prompted Trez to come on the show, or am I thinking to have him on the show? I've been thinking about this for a while, but you posted about how they were censoring David. Is it pronounced Icke or Icke?
Yeah. Yeah, they're censoring David Icke.
No, the conspiracy theorist David Icke.
Oh my God!
I don't know if you're familiar with David Icke, Hannah. Well, I'm going to tell Hannah about him in a second.
Yeah.
So Hannah, David Icke is a guy. He used to be a British sportscaster, and now he's become one of the foremost conspiracy theorists. And he was the one that really started the lizard people thing, saying that all the people are lizard people. The reptilians. I was telling Hannah about David Icke, who was a sportscaster turned conspiracy theorist. And he's the one that really started the reptilian thing.
Well, he kind of brought it to the surface, but it's always been there, and it's always been within other researchers. And a lot of people say that he ripped off a couple other people about it and stuff, but none of those people have come out and actually said that.
The Queen of England is a reptilian, supposedly. The Bush family, the Clinton family.
Yeah, so that's a part of the whole, and I'm wearing a David Icke shirt. Ew, Icke was right, baby.
Right.
But it's bye. She just took my
That's
drink.
okay.
She's
okay.
like, bye. But David Icke, we're talking about the reptilians. It goes back to basically the origin type thing, alien visitation and genetic manipulation, to where the the Anunnaki come here and their DNA was mixed with the human people or the beings, and he breaks all that stuff down. But it's like a vibrational code. It's like within the blood. It's something that is when you see the symbol of the serpent and stuff like that. According to the ancient Zulus and stuff, how the lizard comes into it. The lizard was a being, here on Earth that they could actually attach themselves to, or take a physical representation, that there was no feelings, no emotion, no consequence, no anything. There was only like, basically, you have what we have, a reptilian brain called the R complex, which is your fight or flight. Right. And that's why they took on that physical appearance. So that's how that comes. But if you look at through history, you see in our medical, the caduceus of Hermes, the DNA sequence,
sure.
All that stuff is all around. And you look at through the history of the symbology, it's all around serpent, dragons, all that kind of stuff. So that's where that comes in with him and like the lizard people.
Who was the first reptilian?
That
actually got the power, I guess.
I think it's Enki, or Ilil or Enki. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but I named my second son Enoch, which was named after the prophet Enoch, who was the only Enoch was the only human being that the gods respected and actually feared. They feared his words because of his influence and his intelligence. That they were the only, Enoch was the only one that would, like, he was the representative for the humans, that he would talk to them, to the gods. And Enoch was the only one that was the only human being that left Earth alive. That's the legend. And so Enoch was, if I'm not mistaken, in contact with the gods and the demigods, the half breeds, the half human, half and reptilian, whatever. And those
police in the background.
Well, those, yeah. Those bloodlines are bloodline is scattered all throughout the globe. That's why you have the earth, whatever. But that's why you have all the different pyramids and all the different things all over the world that have a very identical theme, and we're finding more and more of this to be true. That's like the reptilian stuff, and then to get more towards us, that gets focused into the pharaohs, and also the British crown and all that stuff. You know.
Now is Trump a reptilian?
I don't know. He doesn't have that kind of blood lust, and then also he said he wasn't, not him, but Newt Gingrich said that the reason why Trump won't be able to do anything, won't get president or anything, is he's not in the club, he's not initiated.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that I hear like these conspiracy theorists kept saying that, like, it's the Illuminati and all this stuff, and
with what
Trump slipped in, but we like him. If the fix is in and the Illuminati is running everything, it would never allow him to be president.
Well, right? I think there's something going on. Is what's no. There's something going on that, like, a lot of people don't like. They don't see or whatnot. And I'm not saying that I got it right, but Trump's not like a part of the crew. He's not a part of the clique. He's not in like that. No, he really wasn't. No, he really wasn't. He was always
kind of the Clintons. I mean, he was in the club.
No, the Clintons.
He hung out with Epstein. He hung out with all of them.
Again, he was in and around. He was in and around. To the Clintons, he was a bank. Okay. To Epstein, he was a real estate competitor. All right, that's ultimately their dealings. They tried to have a ruse where they were all good together, but they didn't like each other, especially after Trump fucking I don't want to say swindled him, but silver tongued him on a deal. And you're familiar with that? he was looking at a property in Florida, and he asked Trump what he thought. Trump was like, "Nah, it's no good." And then when old boy went off, when old boy went off, he fucking bought the place, and then like was like, "I'll sell it to you," you know, like that, like kicked off. But see, Trump. This is what people don't know, you know. Trump, and I'm not trumping, but this is facts. Okay, he was the only person in 2008, 2009, the only high-level person that cooperated with the FBI and investigated him, or what got him, which led to his arrest. In 2008, I think it was. Trump was the only person that did anything, that offered up anything, that led to that actually was like substantial evidence. What that exactly was, I don't know. Again, under Trump's presidency, Epstein gets popped, and all the stuff starts unraveling. Now, when I say like, just because Trump's rich doesn't mean that he's in. You know what I mean? He was kind of like a court jester to them. If you really look at it, oh, he's the TV guy. Yeah, he's got the billions, but he's not like. If you ever watch the show Billions, which is going on now, okay, I don't watch a lot of shows. This one, it caught my attention because they was talking about Wall Street and all that stuff. The shit that they talk about and the shit that they do is exactly what's going on today. I mean, they're laying it out there. They're laying it totally out there. That right now, the guy that plays the Paul Giamatti, that's playing the governor of New York, he's playing fucking what's his fuck's face, Cuomo, 100%. And then you see Cuomo getting busted with the nipple piercings. Dude's an S&M guy. Dude, I'm crazy. But in that show, you have this dude, and it's a different story, okay? But he's like new money. Trump is new money compared to these people, okay? Trump's new money. It's not this generationally family wealth from like owning industries. Okay, he's new money. Trump wanted to buy a football team.
Why not?
Right? Remember that he wanted to be in this dude in the show.
Billions did the same thing. Yeah,
same thing. And he had to go through this process, and it was all those people, those shot collar people. They're like, nah, you're not in. That happened to Trump. That's why Trump was like, screw the NFL. I'm going to go. And he started pushing anything that wasn't the Canadian League, and then he pushed the XFL, right? He's in and among them. He's a competitor of them, and he's new money, you know. But he's got himself to a point, you know. He's not oil money. He's not somebody that owns all the wheat in the world or all the, you know what I mean? Like he's a real estate dude.
It's just funny that he's above any conspiracy theory, but I want to leave it at that because here's
the thing.
Really? We're already done. I have a question.
Oh, I was going to say though, but like even Julian Assange, like all the stuff, like they dumped everything. He dumped everything that he had, right? Just recently, like within the last 2 months or something, like they dumped everything that WikiLeaks had. When they asked him like, why aren't you pulling up shit on Trump? He's like, I don't have anything. Because if I did, I would. But he's like, I'm letting you know right now, everything I have, there's nothing on Trump about it, you know? And then a lot of the shit that they say about him, if they had it, they would be hammering it. It'd stick. I mean, fucking Teflon Don only goes so far before Teflon gets perforated, you know?
I don't know. He's pretty Teflon, but I want to go through because trust me, I love talking about Trump because it's so divisive, but I want to go through just a real quick rundown of the great conspiracy theories of our time, and see what you think, Trez. First off, who killed Kennedy?
Who killed Kennedy?
Who killed JFK?
Who killed Kennedy? Are you who delivered the shot that popped his head off, or who was orchestrating it?
Both.
I'll tell you both. Poppy Bush, George Bush Sr., Poppy Bush.
Bush was in Dallas at the time.
Orchestrated, and the driver delivered the final shot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And someone was just telling me that they digitally remastered the video or whatnot, and then they're like, someone's like, dude, have you seen this? And I was like, bro, I saw that like in 2004, 2003, you know, like.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, Hannah.
First date.
Send that to me. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
If you watch the video,
he turns
the
around and
driver goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was documented that it was a shellfish toxin gun that was spring loaded with shellfish toxins that when it enters the blood, it immediately causes shock, instant. It's like, and everybody was like, and people they denied it, and then in the 70s they come out, Senate congressional meeting, whatever, and the dude's holding up the gun and they're like, yeah, it's a spring loaded pellet gun with exploding shellfish toxins. So, they talked about it, and then 10 years later, they're admitting that they denied that the weapon even existed. 10 years later in Congress, they're like, look at this, but yeah, Poppy Bush and the driver, I think his name was Greer.
Oh, Bush was in Dallas at the time.
Mm-hmm. His story always changes, but there's like photos and then like I guess like phone records and like a letter that was written.
And probably the conspiracy theory I've read most on is 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically enough, the person that got me thinking about 9/11 was Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Initially, I was like, he started pre Fahrenheit 9/11. He was like, wait a second, Bush deal, Bush is in, Bush and the Bin Ladens do business together, and I'm like, wait a second, and the two and
they're like their families were big best friends.
Yeah, just because I'm asking the question does not minimize the death of all the people. That
Yeah, that's a psyop, dude. That's a psyop. That's a psyop when people do that. That's programming. That's programming because it's crabs in a bucket, dude. They don't want you asking questions. They'll pull you down. They want to marginalize you. They don't. That's their programming. That's like paradigm shattering. Well,
it is though. I mean, I believe what they told me at the time. Obviously.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't really thinking. And the two questions, and if somebody sufficiently answers these questions, I'll be like, okay, I believe you. But the World Trade Center 7 was not hit and collapsed. Explain that.
Me?
No, I'm just saying rhetorically.
Yeah, exactly. They can't, pocket fires. I'm like, so there's no building in recorded history, a steel structure ever collapsing on its own footprint at free fall speed due to pocket fires. Doesn't make sense. From burning paper. What's that?
Or even planes crashing into them. Or even planes crashing into them. Buildings have never collapsed when planes crashed into them.
And that those buildings were designed to handle like 4 or 5 planes to crash into them.
But that's slightly more plausible than a building that wasn't hit at all, that collapsed and just from a fire.
No, exactly. I don't know if you're aware, but there's also another building that went down that people don't know. A very small group of people ever talk about it or know about it, but that's Building 6, and that's where they had a lot of they had the headquarters. Building 7 had the headquarters of a lot of places, but the building, if I'm not mistaken, Building 6 had like the headquarters of the IRS and other people that were being investigated, or things that were coming up because of that. What was it? $2 trillion, $3 trillion that were $3 trillion that were missing from the defense budget from the Pentagon that was announced on September 10th. Rumsfeld comes out. I think it says $2.3 million are unaccounted. Tomorrow we start the investigation. Buildings come down. Building 6 next was actually closer than Building 7 that went down, but Building 6 gets demolished and everything in it, and no one talks about that. Some say that's actually where the gold was.
Right?
Was that?
When did it collapse?
When did it collapse?
Yeah.
The Building 6, I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know if it was,
Was it the same day or was it?
Yeah, I think it comes down, gets crushed, or gets like during the second building coming down.
See, now some I got to look into. But
Yeah,
and the other question is, where's the footage of a plane hitting the Pentagon?
yeah, exactly.
There's
Not only
way-
that, but pinpoint accuracy to fly a big ass plane like that so low to the ground, to come in at that flat angle, to not hit any telephone poles or light poles, and then there's no wing impacts. It's just the fuselage,
right,
which would be a missile.
Right, and the Pentagon has to have as many cameras as a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Right.
thing.
All of a sudden they're not working. And you know what area was hit? You know what area was hit?
What area was hit?
Where they keep all the financial records, where all the where all the money and where all the accounting and everything happens. That's what was destroyed in the Pentagon.
So who ultimately?
This is fact. This is documented fact.
I know it's all documented fact.
No,
So who ultimately ordered this in your view?
It is, again, it's like the big money cabal, the
Illuminati?
Yeah, if you want to give them a name, black nobility, that kind of stuff. But it's the people that believe that they're that they're like the rightful owners of the planet, or at least they should be. And you look at the interest, you look at who wasn't affected, look at who's benefiting. And it's not just what's on the surface, that's just for us to argue about. But like when it comes to who called it, look all the people who were involved that benefited from it. Look all the people, if there was one way to put it into who, I would say your best bet would be to start looking into PNAC as the people who are fronting it. That's the Project for a New American Century, which is a think tank that's been disbanded, or they've since whatever ended.
Or have they?
Deal. Yeah, right. But then you have the Council on Foreign Relations. You look at there's a great book called The Killing of Uncle Sam. Everybody should get, and it talks about how through like these different public and secret societies, these organizations, how they work against the interest of the United States, of a free people. Right. And these are people that are politicians, they're family members, they're big tied into the entertainment industry, news industry. Basically they own the bandits and the bullets and the bandits, band-aids and the bullets and everything in between. Sorry.
Right.
But in the Project of a New American Century, it said that the goal is to make America's defenses be the police of the world. Other countries and others, people wouldn't want that. They won't want that kind of, so something of a Pearl Harbor event would get the American people to go through. So, and then after that, and then also they were pushing for what wasn't called the Patriot Act, but what is the Patriot Act.
Right.
So right after 9/11 happens, the new Pearl Harbor, they immediately pushed through the Patriot Act, which was shot down twice. Everything goes towards. So if you look at who's like into globalism, that's who's trying to call the shots in the world.
And by the way, Roosevelt knew about Pearl Harbor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And quickly, does the government have a cure for cancer?
That I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised. And people are like, oh, well, then why did so-and-so die of cancer? Because so-and-so fulfilled what they needed,
Right.
Well, where's the time go? I have one more conspiracy I got to go over with you. And we got to do a part 2, right, Hannah?
I would like to have him on with Joy.
What's that?
Joy Villa. I would like to have them on.
They would be great together. And,
yeah, they would be.
We'll have to hook that up soon. We had Joy on with our friend Tino Sanchez last year, and
nice.
That turned out to like they were screaming at everything I was saying, even though I wasn't arguing with them. I was agreeing with them, and they were still screaming at me. And they never
That's an unforgettable show.
I love Tino. Tino's my guy.
I love Tino, but they never answered this question. Donald Trump is the first president that's actually done anything on gun control. He banned bump stocks, which has to do with what I'm going to ask you. And yet everybody still screams about how Obama was taking away our guns, Obama this, Obama that. He didn't do anything. And Trump actually did something. Why are people screaming at Obama when Trump's the one who actually did, as mild a restriction as it is, put a restriction on guns?
Well, we get into a little bit of mind control, but you are 100% correct. Trump has actually done more on writing or putting through like legislation or putting through as documented and stuff like that, not backdooring anything when it comes to the bump stocks and stuff like for gun control. Obama was doing the same thing. He was doing it direct with specific things, which was like setting the table for the next guy to come. So ultimately, what they want to do, I think the fastest way that they can get for gun control is to put insurance on. You have to be insured, that kind of thing, and then that you get into the registration, and then any gun becomes illegal. Then it opens up a whole big thing when it comes to like mandating that. That's something that Obama really pushed for. I haven't seen Trump too much. The thing is, the stuff that Trump is doing as far as gun control is wrong ultimately, but at the same time, he's not restricting your right to self-defense. I'm against all the stuff that he's doing as far as the gun control and stuff like that. All right.
Well,
ew.
That's more of an answer than I got from Joy and Tino, who screamed at me. But this is the
no, because it's easy for people to be reactionary to that kind of situation. I'm a big Second Amendment guy, but at the same time, I'm not going to look at. I'm not giving anybody a slide on my freedoms. So the stuff that, but I myself, I don't have a gun that I need a bump stock for, so I'm not, I don't want to say it's not my hood, but I'm not affected, but ultimately I am, because if I am ever in a position where I need that, then, why would you need that? Well, as we're seeing with government, as we're seeing with the food supply and stuff like that. As we're seeing with toilet paper, you're gonna need a fucking.
Well, thank God the toilet paper's back, because it's back in stores now. But
yeah,
it's been a while. But I was gonna say this is right before we go, because I know your daughter really wants to hang out with you. But you know where I'm going with this, which is the Las Vegas shooting of a couple of years ago. You're in Las Vegas right now as we're speaking. 2 questions for you, and then we'll wrap things up. People on Facebook were screaming when it happened, including people that I was surprised, like, don't dare put any conspiracy theories, because that minimizes what happens here, and it's disrespectful, and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that didn't add up at the time and still don't add up. I remember hearing there were people in the hotels shooting people, the New York, Paris. I heard that at the time, and then you don't hear anything about it.
Yep.
I've heard that there were second shooters.
Yep.
There were shooters in the crowd.
Yep.
It seems unlikely that somebody that high up, and I've been to the place, it seems really unlikely that one person did all that, but that's possible. But what's your take, first on the initial reaction? And by the way, those same people, a couple months later, were asking all these questions.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know if they were asking those questions because they stay down, baby girl. They blocked me on Facebook
Wow.
and stuff like that. No, so when the Vegas shooting went down,
Hi.
they can't hear you, baby girl. I got them in my ear over here. But the when the shooting went down, the very first thing I posted was like, "Yo, leave your political, because everybody, I knew immediately people were going to go after guns. You know, they were going to start going, they were going to make that." And I was like, this is a different deal. Okay. Like this, you know, this isn't a gun argument right now. This is something different. They tried to make it that by putting it on the dude Paddock, who was a total patsy. When this all started going down, I was immediately asking questions, but I go, "Hey guys," this is one of the things I go, everybody needs to be held accountable as far as the media is concerned. Like, they can't let this go. I go, because what's going to happen in like 2 weeks after everybody's arguing about this, that, and the other thing, another shooting is going to happen. That's going to get the coverage, right? And then another 2 weeks after that, or 3 weeks after that, another shooting is going to happen. And that's exactly what happened, right? And it's the more and more it started getting buried more and more. But when it was going down, that day I went golfing, and I went golfing late in the afternoon with another comedian, Dan Hall. Normally we go really early in the morning. We decided to go. I was going to go down and go check out the concert because, you know, go see what's going on. Usually the last day you can just walk right on in on those things, right. You know? So I was thinking about that, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go Uber, but we got a free round of golf. We go late." We're like, "Man, I'm staying in." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you know, I'm beat, you know." Me and the missus were hanging out, and all of a sudden, you know, people are freaking out. Facebook's going on. And then my buddy had put up a link to the scanners. So I'm listening to the scanners, and then I'm watching the TV. So I'm listening to the scanners, and they're talking about, they found a car with explosives. They found, come here. They found a car with explosives. They found, she's trying to put her sunglasses on, but her hair's in her face.
Aww.
Go on.
A car with explosives? Where was that?
They found that at the Mandalay Bay. There was a guy they found with a shotgun walking around the Bellagio.
Right.
Shots over at the Paris. Shots over at the MGM. They raided 2 rooms at the New York. All this was going on, and I'm watching the news, and the sheriff is like, single shooter. We don't know the details, but we do know it's a single shooter event, and and I'm like, bullshit, dude. The way this is all going down. So I knew immediately, and I was like, this is not single shooter. So then when you go back, when you go back with the Sheriff Lombardo, you look at him talking after the Bundy Ranch event, where the government got a big smack in the ass on the front and on the back and the legal end. They tried to move the people off of the ranch in Mesquite, Nevada, the Bundys, and all the militia people showed up. And you had the guys with the guns on the freeways pointing at the BLM and the FBI out there and all that stuff. They had them, they were like licked, so they backed out. Then they lost in court about that whole deal. Well, after that event, Sheriff Joe Lombardo was like, "Yo, Vegas's biggest problem, the biggest threat to Vegas is a single shooter mass shooting event." And he said this probably 3 or 4 separate times prior to the shooting. So immediately I was like, "Yo, this is bullshit. This is a work." Right. Then you find out that this was a move by the Saudis. This is a move. There's an internal war going on by the Saudis. This is supposed to be a hit. The hit went bad. Right. So then they covered up with a mass shooting as a shot across the bow, telling basically Trump, "Fuck you. You ain't going to do shit." Supposedly really? 7 people in that operation have been rounded up and executed. That's what's been talked about. The guy that was the intended target for the shooting was blown up in a helicopter 3 weeks later. He was a dude that had a massive stake in, if not like almost a controlling interest in Twitter, and he was working with Trump. Big moves that were going on, still going on inside the House of Saud, inside Saudi Arabia. the people on the ground, multiple people. I know a guy personally who was a security guard who was told when bullets were coming down, he was instructed to run on stage to go calm the people down. He runs up there to go tell everybody, and they turn the lights on and the mic off, right? And he just says, all he could hear is bullets is hitting everywhere, people running, da 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 da. So when he got down, he said he grabbed like 3 people, threw them in the back of his truck, drove them to the hospital.
Wow.
But people shooting, you hear multiple people talk about people being shot on the ground, or and then those people that were coming out publicly saying this, they all have had an untimely death. What's up with that? How did Paddock's house get broken into in his home in Reno? He had a house in Reno. They said that's where his gun cache was broken into and robbed when FBI was watching it. How does that happen? How does the dude who's the only person to supposedly seen Paddock was shot in the leg, the Jorge Campos, the guy, he's shot in the leg, and then he's supposed to be on Hannity with a femoral wound, and then he ditches Hannity to go drive to Mexico, spend 3 days, comes back and only does Ellen's show. To where Ellen, the whole time Ellen does the show, she's like, now I just want to make it clear, this is the only interview you're doing. This is the only one that you're doing. We have the exclusive. This is the end all be all. After you say, she sets the table the whole way through the interview. Like, it's a total work. She is getting paid by her little money deal with MGM, MGM, they said they are lying about all sorts of shit in their surveillance videos. None of this shit is legit, dude. If you believe that there was a single shooter deal, man, I got some property to sell.
Well, I think we can close on that. Ellen DeGeneres is responsible for all of these things. She is the Illuminati, and
she is.
And
she's drinking that adrenochrome, baby.
We're gonna have Trez. You know who Joy Villa is, right?
Who?
Joy Villa.
Yeah, isn't she like the Nubian?
Yes.
Nubian princess, conservative.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what Hannah wants to have you on with, and we'll try to make that happen.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
In any case, thank you, Trez. Anything you want to plug, let me know. Tell people where they can go to your website, listen to your podcast, all that stuff. Yeah,
so my website for, it is trezmala.com, trezmala.com. That's kind of like more of a static page. All social media, I'm at Trez Mala on all of them, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. My podcast is called Think Stopper. It's one word. Thinkstopper.com. You can find it on Apple, and I forget what else I have it on.
It's on Spotify. It's on most of the. I think it's on Deezer too. It's on most of the podcast versions.
Yeah, and so I have it there. And in my YouTube, I've been a little bit more active of doing live streams and just putting it on YouTube than I have the other. But I'm going to be changing that up. I'm really not happy with that situation. So I've been looking at a couple other platforms. But yeah, I'm going to get out there and be doing as much as I can. And I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
And say that again, Hannah?
Oh, I said thank you for coming on.
Man.
And when comedy, probably it's not going to come back until next year or whatever. But when Las Vegas comedy comes back, Trez will be there.
Can I say tomorrow we are popping off me and the man Jack Slammy are popping off the first show back since the shutdown. Since they've reopened the bars, we're working a show, and we're going to be doing it at our normal place that we check my list. I can't say it. It doesn't want me to put it out there as advertisement, but we are doing the first show back, be the only comedy show in the state of Nevada that's happening after the opening.
Well, I stand corrected.
No clubs can do it, baby, but we can, so we're doing it.
Well, check out Trez Mala on all social media, see where he's at. And Hannah, always great.
Mm-hmm.
Hail Hannahbox 666 on
On
Instagram.
Instagram.
And Goth Comedian on all social media. Everybody have a wonderfully creepy, conspiracy-filled week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trez. That was great.
All right.
It was like an hour, 20 minutes, too, I think.
Yeah, sorry if I was a little disruptive with the
We
name.
can go on forever with this, so I appreciate it, Trez.
Oh, thank you much, man.
I'll link you when it's going to be on Renegade Radio tonight. It's going to be on the podcast channels Sunday and on YouTube on next Wednesday.
Sweet, dude. Appreciate it, man.
I'll tag you on all of those.
Hell yeah.
Take it easy, and say all the best to your family.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, Mark. All right, here we go.